All right, so I'm going to try this presentation here, and my goal with this is to get us to move from our grid into actually writing our initial literature review. So you're on a computer, great. Go ahead and pull up the grid and grab a blank Microsoft Word document, and we will move on. So while you're doing that, I just want to revisit the assignment sheet. So on the assignment sheet, I offer not one, but two samples of literature reviews from the literature. The first is this excerpt from Laura Sell's iconic Where Do Mermaids Stand? She's a co-editor of the book From Mouse to Mermaid, and she's dealing with Ariel, the Little Mermaid, which is all about performing gender, what it means to be a girl, how to act like a girl, how to use your, feminine wiles to get a man. So Sells, when she was writing this, turned to the experts in the field. So we start out with a nice main idea. Defining gender as a performative production dismantles the illusion of natural category. This is the overarching theme of this paragraph. This is the main idea topic sentence that everything else that follows will be underneath it. Now, it's a main idea, but it's also a cited main idea, which is a really cool advanced move she's doing here. We'll talk more about that on the next slide, how you don't have to necessarily, but here she's actually synthesizing four sources, one from Butler from 1990, one from Butler from 1991, one from Cappo and Hansis, and one from Garber to say this one overarching idea. The literature overwhelmingly says gender is not something you're born with, it's something we perform. It's something we behave. We behave masculine or feminine. It isn't innate in our DNA. Mary Russo puts it more simply. To put on femininity with a vengeance suggests the power of taking it off. Butler, however, refutes this equation of gender with style as something to be put on or taken off as a conscious choice. Performance has to do with repetition, blah, 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 blah. You see this conversation developing here. Russo says it is actually something you can, if you want to act like a girl, act like a girl. Put a dress on, you're a girl. You want to act like a boy, act like a boy. Play with trucks, whatever. Whatever our society thinks is the appropriate thing that is masculine or feminine, just do it. But Butler says, no, it doesn't work that way. We are forced to re-signify, and it's not freedom, but it's inevitably working this trap. We're all forced to behave like we are told to behave societally. And this is what the scholars say about this. So that is actually a third reading for Butler. Butler is sort of the preeminent scholar. So this is 6 different texts all saying this related concept of what gender is. Loran's, actually in her piece, Does Women Strike Back, goes into Ariel specifically. She actually is evaluating the character of Ariel. So last one was defining gender. This one's evaluating Ariel. She says, regarding the representation of gender, Disney's construction of the teenage mermaid Ariel generated the beginning of an ideological debate among feminist scholars. So there's our main idea. That is the overarching idea. Ariel came on the scene in 1989 and feminist scholars divided. There are so many for, against, she's good, she's bad. Just a very torrent, a very ambivalent character, and that is what this paragraph is going to show. As Laura Sells, that name sounds familiar, right? As Laura Sells explains, the mermaid figure became both an icon of bourgeois feminism and a sign of the stakes in reinventing the category of woman or reimagining women as speaking subjects. A different line in criticism describes Ariel as the very embodiment of consumer fetishism due to her compulsive need to collect multiple human objects. Similarly, it has been argued that Ariel was modeled after a slightly anorexic Barbie doll that with thin waist and prominent bust, thus portraying a dangerous model for young women. So what we have here is 4 different sources, 3 sentences, ignoring the main idea. The first sentence is the main idea, establishing this topic for this paragraph. The second sentence is our first evidence from Laura Sells, and she says mermaids are these icons. And then Bryn and McQuillan says, yeah, but it's actually just consumer fetishism because of her consumptive nature. I really want those who are listening to this who are A students who really need a great grade and an A in this class, who are willing to go above and beyond, go to the Writing Center and talk to me and come to my office hours. That kind of A student, not just I'd like an A, but I'm going to phone it in, but the A student who's going to go the extra mile. Pay attention to this last sentence. This is amazing. We have not one, but 2 different sources. We have Giroux, who's seminal in the conversation, and O'Brien. Both of these sentences, or both these sources, being placed in a single sentence. Normally, as you saw, Laura Sells, 1 sentence. Bryn and McQuillan, 2nd sentence. This third sentence, this third piece of evidence, fourth sentence of the paragraph, third piece of evidence, has two very different authors coming up with this compound idea. It's similar in some ways to the last paragraph, the one from Sells, last slide, where we had four sources all saying that gender is performative and not natural. But here we start with Giroux saying, Ariel's a slightly anorexic Barbie doll, and then O'Brien saying, yeah, she's got a thin waist and prominent bust, thus portraying a dangerous model for young women. So beautiful, elegant synthesis of complex sources. So there's not one, but two examples of the kind of writing I'm looking for from you. So I want you to go ahead and grab out your grid. I know we haven't probably touched on this in a while, but I want to make sure that you're filling it out and keeping it going, keeping it alive. Here's my grid. It's not very good. I'd be candid, I'm not turning this in. I am just trying to do an example very quickly that you all can follow. Yours should be a lot more filled out, a lot more paraphrases, a lot more summary, a lot more quotations, and a lot more of the categories because, well, you're getting a grade for this. This is just an example. It's my example. It also is an old example, as you can see from the Lacroix and Westerfeld house, but it is, take it with a grain of salt. It's a good start, but I do expect more from you when you turn yours in. So let's grab an excerpt from the definition sections of one of the readings. I don't even care. Actually, you can grab it from any of the sections. Pick any paraphrase, summary, or quote from your grid that you like, that you want to talk about. So I take the Wikipedia piece. And in Wikipedia, princesses must be royalty by blood, by marriage, or fit the princess mythology. Now here I'm conforming to MLA. I know you're welcome to use APA, but for simplicity's sake, I'm just gonna use MLA because that's how I have it on the grid. That's how I have it. I'm gonna have it on this assignment. So here's our first sentence. That's pretty good. I like that start. Now looking over this sentence, princes must be royalty by blood, by marriage, or fit the princess mythology, I'm kind of inspired with that marriage idea. Marriage is a big thing with princesses. They're all either running toward marriage, such as the early classic Walt princesses. Cinderella, that's how she gets saved. Snow White wants her handsome prince. Aurora wants to be married to unite her kingdoms. Or they're running from it, like Mulan and especially Merida. You know, the whole point of Brave is her wanting to be her own princess. Hell, even Aladdin is her deciding who she marries. Marriage is a dominant theme for these various characters. So let me find another marriage excerpt from another reading. So I have the Wikipedia, and now I'm going to add the Furrow et al. Piece. So Disney princesses follow gendered standards of, quote, good conduct, polite behavior, and marriage expectations. Sweet. Nice. We've got two ideas, all talking about marriage. First from Wikipedia, second from Furrow et al. On page 209. And yet, let's find the third one to go. Promise this will be the last one for now, but 3 is a good start. So let me find marriage anywhere else. Oh, Bradford talks about it. Great. Bradford explains the success of Disney princesses resides in their adherence to pre-modern patriarchal orders defined by marriage to a prince and the approval of fathers or father substitutes. Perfect. What a nice, easy segue from our discussion. It's all about marriage, and especially marriage to my dad, except not my dad, because that would be gross. But that idea of dad-like substitutes, that's actually what this is. The proverbial passing, the giving away of the bride by the father to the husband, passing of the patriarchal control of these characters. Cool. Now I have 3 different sentences from 3 different sources. One sentence from Wikipedia, one sentence from Annette Furrow and her feminist scholars, and one from Claire Bradford. These are all on marriage, so I create a main idea. Marriage is fundamental to all Disney princesses, and this is a perfect, easy, nice topic sentence. It is not nearly as elegant as gender is performative and not a natural category, as Laura Sells advocated, nor is it as probably succinct as Ariel's discussion of launching this complex discussion among feminist scholars that Zoran's is discussing. But this will work for me for now. One more part. I want to add a 4th quote at the very end. So the very last 5th sentence, 4th excerpt, this time from Higgs. While central to the princesses, marriage is the savior of the classical princesses. Perfect. Now I've got 4 sources talking in 5 different sentences about this concept of marriage and its relation to the Disney princess. What's great about this last one is it's actually setting up my next topic sentence. My next main idea will be on classical princesses. So perfect. Here is a nice, clean paragraph constructed very quickly using the grid. I just copied and pasted directly from the grid into this paragraph that I can now use toward my lit review, which we're going to be workshopping here in just a few days. So there it is. Marriage is a fundamental to all Disney princesses. Princesses must be royalty by blood or marriage or fit the princess mythology. Disney princesses follow gendered standards of good conduct, polite behavior, and marriage expectations. Bradford explains the success of the Disney princess resides in their adherence to pre-modern patriarchal orders defined by marriage to a prince and the approval of fathers or father substitutes. And while central to the princesses, marriage is the savior of the classical princesses. So we know where we're going. This is great. Themes of the paragraphs. So what I want you to do now is I want you to think about, I've offered the theme of marriage. I've offered the theme of classical princesses. I want you to think of other themes that you can actually use as well. There are a lot of different themes. You could talk about anything that's repeated in 3 or more of the readings will be fine. Different types of princesses, who created the princess line, what is sort of the effect the princess line is having on individuals, certain members of the princess line and sort of the controversy around them being part of or not being part of it. Any of those are great themes that could make good paragraphs for these literature reviews. Now, I want you to create a second paragraph. The second paragraph is going to be the same expectation as the first one. I want you to copy an excerpt of the grid that you find interesting and paste it in your Word document. And then I want you to use this excerpt to find a theme. And then offer another reading that fits the theme, and then a third reading that fits the theme. Now, fifth, I want you to compose a main idea that gives an overarching, uniform, umbrella idea for this paragraph. And then find one more excerpt, one fourth excerpt that follows this theme, but also introduces us to a next theme that we could then follow out. I'm going to offer a couple other lit reviews that we haven't really discussed so far. The ones you've seen were on the assignment sheet or ones that we're creating, but I want to give you some more just to get the feel for it. The first is Joel Taxel. If you go to the library and you do a database search for literature review Disney, the one you will get is this classic. It's from 1983, and the entire thing is a literature review on the effect of Walt Disney in general. It's a very profound, huge piece. If you want to see it, let me know. I can see if I can get you a copy. It's fascinating. But you notice, same idea here. There's a main idea, as was noted in the outset of the paper. Opinion on the various aspects of Disney's work is divided. There is, however, near unanimous agreement that Disney's treatment of many of the classics of children's literature has been disastrous. Boom. Now we're going to talk about this paragraph where all the sources are going to say, yeah, Disney's treatment of any of the classics, be it Fairy Tale or Winnie the Pooh or Mary Poppins, has just been disastrous, just totally not living up to it. And we'll go to Bart to Bart first, then Maurice Sendak second, then Hentoff, and on and on. Each sentence a new source, each sentence a new source, each new sentence a new source. Make sure you're understanding that. Every new sentence, I want a new source for these paragraphs, same as you see Joel Taxel do. Now, this week, you are going to be reading Disney's Gender Role Portrayal in the Disney Princess by Dawn England, Laura Descartes, and Melissa Collier-Meek. Check this out. This should blow your mind. The very first thing that these iconic ladies, by the way, so seminal to this discussion is people like Giroux or Orenstein, maybe Woolwind. But when it comes to what is a seminal reading, it's this. This reading right here, Gender Role Portrayal in the Disney Princess, is one of the most important pieces of Disney scholarship on princesses ever written. It is phenomenal, and it is cited in tons of the various sources that we've already encountered or we will encounter. And it starts perfectly. These ladies set up the very first thing, very first paragraph is a literature review. Right here, right out the gates. And so Disney Princess line was created in 2001, an advertising and marketing campaign targeted toward young girls. Although first the Disney Princess movies were released in 1937, a strong marketing franchise has reinvigorated the popularity of the Disney Princess line. The advertising campaign aims to attract a wide audience of girls with the ultimate goal of encouraging children to personally identify with the characters so that they purchase the associated products. The franchise now includes over 25,000 products, and it's contributed greatly to the rise of Disney marketing sales from $300 million in 2001 to $4 billion in 2008, and on and on and on. Let me tell you why this is so good and why I wish every one of you would model. First off, it's entirely organized on a central theme. In this case, the Disney Princess line. The actual line and how it is actually used to bring these ladies together and make money for Disney. Second, each and every sentence offers a single idea from a source or sources before moving on to a related idea by another source or sources. Speaking of which, this work is exceptional because it synthesizes the ideas of several sources into a single sentence. That's the purple part. Disney and its princess phenomenon have been identified as a powerful influence on children's media and product consumerism, contributing to a new girlhood that is largely defined by gender and the consumption of related messages and products. That isn't just one source. That isn't two. That is four. That is Giroux, Lacroix, McRobbie, and Orenstein. All four say the same thing, which is that. That's brilliant. That's A-level material there. And last and not least, did you notice how elegantly each of these sentences flowed together? The Princess line was created in 2001 as an advertising campaign. Although first the Disney Princess movie was released in 1937, the advertising campaign aims to attract an audience of girls. The franchise now includes over this. Disney and its Princess phenomenon identifies as a powerful influence. Through the Disney Princess movies are produced in the United States. It all sounds the same, even though every single sentence is coming from a different source. Well, Orenstein gets repeated twice. But ignoring that, everything is coming from a different source. But because they're paraphrases by England, Descartes, and Collier Meeks, it all sounds like the same unified voice. That is perfect. That is exactly what I wish you would do. That is what I want to see from you. By the way, this is only the first of the literature reviews from England et al. If you actually turn to 557, their pagination, not ours obviously, there is another. This is actually 3 paragraphs. Again, literature reviews. Really elegant, phenomenal literature reviews, breaking down all these different things. This is so cool, and I hope when you read it this week, you pay attention to when they, like, oh wow, look at that cited. Oh, the next thing's cited. Oh, this third sentence is cited. Yeah, pay attention to the literature reviews. They're everywhere, and they're foundational to quality academic writing. All right, questions. I'm hoping that you are understanding what I'm doing. If you have any questions on this, though, reach out to me, please. Email, text, call, tweet, whatever. Just make sure I get to know so I can actually answer your questions and make sure we're on the same page. We're going to be workshopping the literature review soon, so let's get with it. Thanks.